Like, leave me alone. I'll just go about my business.
All right, man, let's get into it. No super long intro today, but I appreciate y'all. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Next subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notification, increase chance, get notifications. We go live or drop a video, and we're pretty much about to get started. We're going to talk about Derrick James exposing Errol Spence somewhere in the second half, middle of the video to the end. And we're going to talk about Haney dropping the WBO and the return of the action boxer. But first and foremost, we're going to get bonus coverage here. So, I was, kind of scrolling on X, and I seen this, and with Shakur Stevenson once again becoming infamous and more infamous, out here. And I think this is very, very funny. I didn't see Greg tag him. This must have came across his timeline when it came to Greg Hackett. So, I thought it was fitting to kick the show off with this, even though it's not in the title. Greg Hackett, excuse me. So Greg Hackett said that Mason versus Bell proves you can fight and still be brothers afterwards, So then you had Shakur Stevenson say, y'all be so lame. So 33-year-old and 21-year-old, I think he's 22, is brothers' definition of caught up in the hype. I mean, what do they got to do with it? He said he had so much love for Albert Bell that he could have knocked him out 3 rounds earlier, but he didn't. What more strong brotherhood than that? You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I don't even think Greg subtweeted this. He just put it out there and look, a hit dog holler. And everybody already know the gig is up on Shakur Stevenson's fake brotherhood. He just keep his enemies closer. You think Keyshawn his brother? Absolutely not. You think Gary Anton, Russell, Richardson, Hitchison, his real brother? Y'all cool, so y'all don't have to fight. And everybody didn't peep that out. And I'm pretty sure with everybody peeping it out in the fight game, they going to be like, well, y'all instigated these guys fight each other. It ain't no instigation. It is what it is. Ain't no instigation needed here. This dude is straight up like Greg didn't look like he tagged him. It came across his timeline and a hit dog holler. Like, how you going to be mad at this? They still cool after the fight, even though people felt it was controversy that Albert Bell, should have been able to continue to fight regardless. He would have lost, and most likely it was inevitable that he was going to get knocked out, especially with that broken nose. I just don't understand why Shakur Stevenson is so Ralph Transvant sensitivity when it comes to this. You got people that's brothers. I had a homie who was like 13. His brother was like 30. What is he talking about? What do that got to do with being brothers? You know what I'm saying? This dude Shakur Stevenson, man, is just a different type of bitch. And it's just no other way to say it, man. If you still supporting this movement, and then I got a video where he basically, y'all probably see it sometime this week, maybe tomorrow, depending on how everything fall. He got a video he did on the Andre Ward interview he did. He said that he turned around and said that he's in the driver's seat, and after he beat T.O., everybody clout chasing off his name. And I'm just like, nigga, what? What are you talking about? If you go around here, I'm pound for pound number 3. I'm one of the best fighters in the world. People gonna want to see you actually do that. They just say that just to be saying it nowadays. They don't say it to really prove it, and that's a fact. But for him, getting mad when a guy didn't tag you, a guy just put a post up there and a hit dog holler. You know what I'm saying? And he's sitting up there hollering and screaming and hoop line. He clearly, everybody knows the gig is up. Everybody knows the gig is up. Everybody know the gig is up. And now you upset because everybody really know the gig is up. Well, there's 33-year-old and 21-year-old could be brothers. How can't you be brothers? I done seen plenty of age gap between brothers. I done seen age gap between friends groups. When I was in my 20s, some of the guys I hung out with, bro, they was in their 40s. Bro. And if I had to really keep it a bean with y'all about y'all friends group, always have some older dudes to give you some insight. Always have some older dudes around that been there, done that. I mean, that's why you see married couples hang around married couples. Somewhere in that married couple group, you got newlyweds that's with y'all. Then you got the intermediate, somebody that been married for 5 to 10 years. Then you got the OG couples, 15, 20 plus years. Y'all all move together. Y'all all problem solve. Ain't no different than crooks move with crooks. Nerds move with nerds. Productive men move with productive men. Regardless of age group. You know what I'm saying? And with Shakur Stevenson, man, he really getting exposed out here because ain't nobody asked him to subtweet or to comment on what Greg said. Greg was just saying, hey, man, y'all can still fight and be brothers. Didn't you and Keyshawn spar and still brothers? And guess what? What's the difference? People seeing the sparring on the internet, see Keyshawn beating the goddamn brick city out your ass. People see Keyshawn beating the brick city out your ass. So, I mean, what's the difference? I didn't see enemies come into that ring and they leave out with an understanding and respect. And usually that tends to happen when two dudes scrap it out. You know what I'm saying? They may not like each other, but they have a solid scrap, a fair fade. They may not be cool and bury the hatchet. Damn, this is why I don't text people, bro. As soon as I text people, they want to call. Oh my God, bro. Sorry, y'all.
You had those 2 double barrels pointed at Key and Core's head trying to get you out of this mess you done got yourself into. So, DHP want to know, what's happening with that 144 that you said out your mouth for Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevenson? Let's talk about that.
Now, this situation with Keyshawn, I know you and Bill, y'all got a real good relationship. He respects the hell out of you, He been doing some talking, but now it look like the WBO done kind of forced his hand. Like, what are you thinking they gonna do? Are they gonna answer the call? Or you think they gonna drop that belt?
They're gonna have to shit to get off the pot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I done surrounded the homie. I got him surrounded now. So he look to the left, he gonna see me. Look to the right, he gonna see me.
And you know what, Jay? I felt that chest move was you.
Yeah, my bad, man. That's why I don't be texting people. I text you, then they want to call. But in general, Shakur Stevenson, man, you look at this dog, dude is strict. It's not made for boxing. I don't know why he boxed. He should have went to go, fix copiers, or, he should have been a hand model like Michael Kyle was on My Wife and Kids, because this tweet didn't tag him nowhere. We lame. How Greg lame for this, dog? It's a known fact that Albert Bell could have had a gripe. He could have felt a certain type of way about it. But guess what? Brothers help brothers feed each other family. Albert Bell got an opportunity. This may open up the floodgates for Albert Bell to get to make some money now. His brother Abdullah Mason helped him make some money. They share the same religion. He didn't force him to cut his beard. And according to him, even stalled him out and didn't knock him out for 3 rounds. But here you go. Oh, man, y'all caught up. Definition of caught up in the hype. It caught up in what hype, bro? You the only hype walking around boxing. You pound for pound number 3 somehow, some way. It ain't. And you ran from Edwin De Los Santos. That's the only controversy that's been in his career. Everything else, he been bigger. He been bigger than every other opponent that he fought. Even T.O., he was bigger than T.O. And you moving up in weight. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand this guy. Shut the fuck up. For somebody who was on the internet talking about you didn't know who Aiden Ross was, you stay on the internet. And you thinking, somebody gonna pay for your fight. Ain't nobody rocking with Shakur Stevenson, man. Nobody rocking with bro. But man, let's keep it moving, right? I just wanted to kick off with that shit. So then, there's rumors about, I know they're true because I have sources and many sources. To this day, that Bill Haney and them are thinking about dropping the belt. Now, apparently, it was said through the grapevine that a purse bid is expected to be around $4 to $5 million. Now, I don't know who's gonna bid. The boxing industry, they tend to stick together, especially against black fighters. So it may not, somebody may not bid on this fight because once again, they say black fighters are not profitable fighters. So somebody may not bid on this particular fight. And if they don't bid on this fight, then maybe Top Rank get it for the low. Now, apparently the split of this fight is 75-25, 75 to the champion Devin Haney, 25% to Keyshawn Davis. Now, let me say this, for everybody to say this, so I ain't got to clip it up. All of it can be bunched together. For a fact, I know Devin Haney signed a 3-fight, $36 million deal with Turkey. The first 2 fights, he got $12 million apiece versus Ramirez and Brian Norman Jr. They negotiated that, right? I know somebody that seen the receipts, so that's a fact. And I was able to fact check that person with another person who is really close to a guy that's damn near broke right now. I was able to fact check it. So the problem is that third fight, I guess the way the language is in the contract, and I say I guess that if they don't find an opponent, then Devin Haney is free to go do whatever he wants to do. Usually in contracts, if we do a 3-fight deal, $36 million, 3 fights, 12 piece, you got to honor that third deal. But maybe the way they structured it, I'm just assuming and guessing, hypothesis that, that is what it is, right? So now, for Devin Haney to go, from making $12 million to fight to a possible $12+ million in that third and final fight of the deal, I heard that Top Rank, one of their original offers, so I got this extra information yesterday from just Network where people, they've said, so basically what's being said is Top Rank offered him like $1.2 million to fight Keyshawn. Now, we all understand the initial offer is never probably the best offer now, unless it's Turkey just coming out here saying, I'm going to pay you 15, 20 million to do this and do that. So the initial offer is really not the best offer. Now, it also said that if it goes to purse bid, that maybe Top Rank is willing to pay between $4 to $5 million for the fight. Meanwhile, if the floor is $4 million, Devin Haney take home $3 million. If it's the ceiling is the $5 million, Devin Haney takes 3.75 of that, 3.7 million of that. And most people say, well, Boots is, getting about 3, Shakur's getting about 3. That's for the most part the going rate. In reality, I remember what was the dude, Leonard Bundini Bundu, when Keith Thurman fought Bundu, he got 3.5 back then to fight Bundu. So, that seems to be the going rate for guys, without Turkey inflating the market. But, also it's told to me that maybe the Haneys live a particular lifestyle in that, you have to be able to, training camp expenses and all these expenses to do so. So I know people behind the scenes are trying to tell Bill not to drop that belt because it'll look bad and then all your leverage is gone as well too. So, the ultimate goal is to get between Bill and get between Devin. That's what they want to do. And that's why they trying to freeze Devin out so he can sign. But Roy Jones didn't sign, you know what I'm saying? And Crawford did sign with Top Rank, but that was through Matador Sports, and he got saved by Matador Sports. And when he got out of Top Rank, he didn't have to do that. Fortunately for a guy like Devin Haney, they have the leverage financially for him not to, have to sign. But when everybody trying to block you out, see what people don't understand, and you ain't gonna hear nobody else say this shit, not too many people. Who runs Top Rank is really Todd DeBuff, and it was told to me some years ago that Jay Prince and them is running Top Rank with Todd DeBuff. And kind of I guess when Cameron Duncan moved on, I think he was the house promoter for Top Rank, the house manager for Top Rank at one point. I think Jay Prince is like that guy now. When you start talking about Abdullah Mason, Keyshawn Davis, Shakur Stevenson, he's kind of the in-house manager for Top Rank now. So it's been that way. I heard this about 5, 6, 7 years, damn near 10 years ago, that he has a lot of influence over the decisions that Top Rank make. So he's more of a quote-unquote decision maker more of a decision maker than Bob, these days. And they've been like that for a minute with Todd DeBuff, Bob Arum's stepson. So they're all boxing Bill out. Bill's like, well, Jay Prince is my friend, and he ain't no friend when it's business, ain't no ethics, ain't no code. The only thing is the business, the law of business. You don't have no friends. And ultimately, they want to break Bill and Devin apart. That's ultimately that, and they want to sign Devin Haney. And that's just what it is. And right now, most people, Master P was a promoter of the independent route. You had a lot of guys, Too Shorty, 40 selling tapes out their trunk. You got people that go independent so long, but everybody, pretty much, sell out to the majors. That's just what it is. So, at one point they worked with Eddie. They didn't work for Eddie, because if they worked for Eddie, it would have been hard for them to get out that contract. At one point they worked with Bob, it was temporary. They want ownership. They want to be able to put Devin in a deal. Okay, if you get a title defense, your contract is staying. If you unify these, they want to put them in a perpetual contract where it really don't end. It's hard to get out of. A la Mikey Garcia, a la Mayweather, but what he paid, $300,000 to $600,000 out of this top ranked contract. They want to, build that wedge, and ultimately the only real leverage that Devin has is Turkey Al-Sheikh in having that WBO belt. So they want to lowball him, but also there's rumors that Keyshawn is not happy with his money. So if Devin gonna get $1 million, and Devin can just wait to go to purse bid. And if the bid is where, if the purse bid is where Devin gets 75% and it's $1 million, I don't know what would be that percentage, where it'll be 1.1, 1.2. How much? If he getting 1.1, 1.2 or whatever, and Keyshawn get 25, Keyshawn gonna be fighting for $100,000, $200,000. So, at the end of the day, if I'm Devin, I'm just calling the bluff at this point. At this point, if they don't meet my price point, why not just call the bluff? Well, why not just go with it? Why drop the belt? And we get to that purse bid and they bid $3 million and it's 75% of $3 million. I don't know what the hell what is that about $2 million, something like that. And maybe Key get one something or 500K, whatever. Cool. Hey, I'm gonna just call the bluff to the end. If it's $4 to $5 million and we get $3 to $3.7 million, my thing is this, and this is what I think some people behind the scenes trying to explain the bill. Okay, you drop that belt. What do y'all do at that point? Okay, if you don't fight Keyshawn for whatever they're throwing out, well, then what do you do? What do you do after that? That's the $1 million question. What do you do after that? No Keyshawn, so y'all continue to sit on the pine. Y'all gonna fight an MMA fighter. Y'all gonna fight your crossover fight. What do you do after that? Where do you go? Xander don't have a belt. You gotta would they make the Boots fight? Would you go up and fight Boots? I'm pretty sure Eddie will make that Boots fight, but where do you get the money to pay Devin and Boots for that fight at? So if it was me, which, I ain't licensed to tell nobody nothing, I would assume they're probably going to put Keyshawn and Devin on pay-per-view. And I think the best thing you can do is make sure your pay-per-view split is the right way, and tell Dev and Key and Bill just to sell the fight. Y'all do y'all best thing promoting this fight, talking, selling it, promote a fight like it never been promoted before, and make sure you go get your money on the back end. But you got to make sure your contract's straight for that to happen. Just promote the hell out of this fight. You get with Keyshawn. Y'all write some scripts. Y'all go back and forth. Y'all do some guest appearance. Y'all call in the shows. Y'all write a script. Make it like a movie. Act like Jay and them got beef with Bill and them. Build this whole ass thing up. That's what I would do. Just make sure my pay-per-view split, and I'm gonna go out there and hustle. I'm gonna hustle because, at the end of the day, they got a better idea than I do. If you don't fight Keyshawn, Shakur ain't gonna fight you unless you got it in writing. And why should I succumb to what Shakur saying? I need to drop the belt. Who the fuck is he? Nobody even likes Shakur Stevenson in boxing. Ain't nobody right here. So I can't wait to see Shakur. If Shakur never throw another punch, nigga, we'll celebrate. So, but ultimately, that's kind of the message that a lot of people trying to relay to Bill is that, like, bro, like, if you drop that belt, you can't just make impulsive moves and not have a move after that. So, hey, it ain't my money, it ain't my son, it ain't my game. Let's move on. So let's talk about Abdullah Mason. Then we gonna get into this Errol Spence and Keyshawn stuff. So, Abdullah Mason and Jaron Ennis is representing the era of the return of the action fighter. And I'm gonna talk about this for a smidget. You got the return of the action fighter, and in an era where boxing is seen as prehistoric. You see it as prehistoric. Jaron Ennis and Abdullah Mason is bringing back. They're bringing back the action fighter. They're bringing back the exciting fighter. And at most points in boxing, you had different variety of exciting fighters. You had Roy doing it in his own style. You had Marvin Hagler doing it in his style, Sugar Ray Leonard doing with the flash. You had Tommy Hearn sending people up to the upper room with the straight right and the left hook. You had Foreman coming with brute power. You had the glow of Mike Tyson in and out the ring. I mean, you just had a number of guys that brought excitement, and you had your guys that wasn't so exciting depending on the opponent. Evander Holyfield's. You had your guys like that wasn't so exciting. But you had your Trinidad's with your big left hooks, and ultimately, it's really Mayweather kind of really had a lot of imprint on these guys. That's why you don't see a lot of these guys throwing a lot of punches anymore, because Mayweather was at that point in his career that they seen, they were he was really a 1-2 left hook right hand maybe. He really wasn't throwing punches, but Pretty Boy was throwing punches. But his imprint on the sport of boxing, where kind of the more conservative, say my hands and not take punishment Mayweather, that's what these dudes are fighting like, man. You see Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney don't throw a lot of punches. They don't throw a lot of punches. To be welterweights and used to be lightweights and the super featherweight and the featherweight, they don't throw a lot of punches no more. You got heavyweight David Benavidez or cruiserweight David Benavidez throwing more punches than welterweights, than lightweights, than junior welterweights. And really, it's kind of a breath of fresh air to see Jaron Boots Ennis. You used to have guys like Boots all the time. Didn't have the greatest defense. You say what you want to say about his chin, but you had a guy like Terry Norris that was just like Boots. Either you was going to get him or he was going to get you. Hella skill. You know what I'm saying? Abdullah Mason, showing that, hey, you can't face adversity. And they putting Abdullah Mason in tough. They putting him in there in matchups in which is going to build boxing character and build resume. You know what I'm saying? And these two guys are now representing the era, and where now, it's just not Benavidez bringing the juice. It's just not your new way bringing the juice. Now you got some guys that's in there, who they not just talking and being flamboyant. They not just talking and being flamboyant. They out there, really doing the talking with their hands. They out there throwing hands. They thought they're throwing combinations. They going out there looking for the knockout. They going out there blocking punches with their face sometimes. And you need those type of guys in the sport of boxing. When you look up it'd be nice to see Gary Anton Russell, get more high profile fights, because he throw a lot of punches. His brother Gary Russell Jr., he threw a bunch of punches. You know what I'm saying? But we need the exciting fighters back, and really for a long time it's been Benavidez, it's been Inoue really carrying that torch. You know what I'm saying? Because Canelo really ain't exciting. It's just really pinned on the opponents. Usyk, since he got the heavyweight, he had some really great fights. But Crawford, he was an exciting fighter. Errol Spence was an exciting fighter. But it's good to see these young guys out here putting young brothers, putting their balls on the wall. Most Mexicans, you get in there, you're going to get a good fight. You're going to get a good fight. But let's be real, a lot of the brothers been lacking in excitement. Everybody just trying to mimic the Mayweather thing. So it'll be good to see, Kid Austin, really, get up there and really fight, Abdullah Mason if they both get belt. If Schofield get a belt, it'd be nice to see them fight. They can have a trilogy, two exciting offensive fighters. Why not? Why not do it? The money gonna be there now. The money gonna be there later and later again. You see some of the Bruce Shushu character. You want to see more excitement out of him. You want to see more excitement, but Boots and Abdullah Mason represents the return of the exciting fighter. Enough of that Mayweather pity pity pat shit. Enough of that not taking chances, not taking risks. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, when you kind of go other ethnic groups, that's why we need to see Virgil Ortiz in there, you know, because he got another exciting style that can really boost, you know, boost the morale of boxing up. And like I say, you go to the 168-pound division, y'all don't know it yet, but the most exciting fighters lie within the 168-pound division, whether you're talking about Christian Mbili, Lester Martinez, had, you know, really, in my opinion, had the fight of the year last year. This straight action pack. You throw Osley and Glacius in there. You throw Egner Berlanger in there. You throw Hazmat Shiraz in there. That's the most exciting. You ain't gonna find another division with more exciting fighters and fight friendly. They all most of them trying to get you up out of there. Now Shiraz put that extra little weight on them. They're exciting. Say what you want to say about Berlanga. It ain't too many dull moments since Berlanga then got with Eddie Hearn. You know, it's excitement. Either he gonna get knocked out or you gonna knock him out. You ain't getting find a division with more exciting fighters than that. But, you know, really the black fighter, you know, it's really been, you know, oh my gosh. Really, the black fighter is really, I'm sorry, man, I keep getting called. The black fighter is really to the point of, you know, it's really been represented by how Shakur fight, how Devin fight, you know, very conservative, don't throw a lot of punches. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of need guys like Keyshawn Davis. You know what I'm saying? You need guys like Gary Anton Russell. I hate to say it, you need less guys like Shakur, less guys like Devin, less guys like Hitchens. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it real. You need the Schofields. You need the Abdullah Masons, the Jerron Ennis's, you know, to really rise to the top. Keyshawn Davis, because those guys are exciting. That's what you need to really, you know, represent the sport of boxing. That's what you need. You know, say what you want to say about Wilder. Wilder is one of the most exciting fighters. Either he gonna get you or you gonna get him. Them type of fighters keep you on the edge of your seat, like Terry Norris. You know what I'm saying? So these two young brothers right here is ushering a new era from pity pat roll. You know, they throwing punches. They come trying to get you out of there. So I do think they deserve the support of the sport of boxing, along with Virgil Ortiz. I mean, say what you want to say about Charlo, Errol Spence. They, you know, they had their time. They were exciting fighters. The only issue with Charlo, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, and those type of Deontay Wilder, they didn't give you the fights that we really needed to see. We lusted for damn near in boxing. I don't mean lust as far as fuck, but just fiend for it. You fiend for those in the sport of boxing, and we didn't get those. Like, you know, Leo threw a lot of punches. He wasn't the most exciting fighter, but Leo and Gary Russell should have fought. You know, Oscar and Gary Russell should have fought. A lot of those guys should have fought, but we need these exciting fighters that throw punches, that look to get the knockout. And Abdullah Mason, Jerron Ennis, Keyshawn Davis, Virgil Ortiz. You know, we need Gary Anton Russell, Floyd Schofield. Just thinking about guys off the top, we need those type of guys. We need those. You know, right now, you know, that top of that mountain is Inoue. That top of that mountain is David Benavidez. You know, they've been holding it down. You know, but really, for this to really, you know, take to the next level, for this to go to the next level, we need these young guys to actually fight. You know, fight the best guys out there. And I just think at this point, how young and good Boots is, and how young and good Abdullah Mason is, how young and good Keyshawn Davis is, how young and good Gary Anton Russell is, how young and good Floyd Schofield is, they got to fight each other, bro. They got to fight each other. Ain't no more sitting on your hands, bullshitting around. You get titles, they got to get in the ring. And it's beneficial if a Gary Anton Russell rises to the top at 140 and beat Shakur Stevenson. It's not beneficial if Shakur, you know, beat Gary Anton Russell. You know, I don't really have a dog in the race. It's beneficial that we get exciting fighters because, you know, right now, MMA, they ain't really doing shit right now as far as the combat sport, and the one that's picking up the steam is really Muay Thai, and they getting steam quick. Muay Thai is gaining, you know, steam quick, but we, you know, these guys with short attention spans, where it's hard to keep the youth's attention span, and any way you grow a sport is through the youth. You need exciting fighters. You need flashy fighters. I mean, really, to be honest, when you watch basketball, you know, a lot of us grew up wanting to be Michael Jordan because the shit was fly. You know, at one point, people grew up wanting to be, you know, Isaiah Thomas because the way he handled the ball. Some people wanted to be Allen Iverson because they wasn't that tall and they can handle the ball. You know, at the end of the day, you know, through this era, a lot of people wanted to be Steph Curry because guess what? I'm not as big as strong as LeBron, never probably will be, but I can practice on shooting the ball like Steph. You need fly fly shit to attract flies to shit. You know what I'm saying? You need fly shit. You need, flashy stuff. And like Coach said on his show today, Pernell Whitaker wasn't the most, powerful fighter, but Pernell would get off the canvas and Pernell was mean. Pernell was vicious. You know what I'm saying? And you see Abdullah Mason, he vicious. He showed that, somebody was like, he softened the eyes, but some people got an alter ego. Even though he wanted to spare Albert Bell, but when it came time to put Albert Bell in the Darvish disposal and chop his ass up, he chopped his ass up. Boost me. Gary Anton me. Kid Austin me. You know what I'm saying? Keyshawn me. Virgil Ortiz me. And unfortunately, a lot of these guys got in common. A lot of these guys been dropped. That don't mean nothing. You drop Pernell, he get up and wake up. You drop Trinidad, he get up and wake up and beat your ass. There's been plenty of fighters that y'all, say chinny that been on the canvas a lot, and they just get up and beat the shit out your ass. Like I said, either you gonna get Terry Norris or Terry Norris gonna get you. Either you gonna get Julian Jackson or Julian Jackson gonna get you. And every once in a while, well, this is a rarity, but I'm gonna say what I meant when I said once in a while. Every once in a rarity, you get a Hagler and a Hearns. But every other blue moon, you get a Hagler and a Mugabe. Somebody just got a little bit more dog, a little bit more skill, a little bit more condition. You get two dogs in the ring. So honestly, man, I enjoyed the return the last couple of weeks of the action fighter with these two dudes. I mean, when you're throwing some of the Hispanics, Isaac Cruz is bringing it back. Rayo, for a big guy, he coming back more vicious. We need more of these guys on TV, more of these guys on TikTok to for people to gravitate toward. Enough of that, control the distance, hit, not get hit. That's enough of that shit. They killed the sport with that shit. Every once in a while you need those type of fighters, but we need more fighters that took chances. You look at the 90s, say what you said about Holyfield. He ain't had knockout power, but Holyfield was in some great fights. You look at James Toney, he was in great fights. He was an excited fighter. Roy did it in his own different type of way. Like I said, you got Terry Norris, he's gonna get him, or he gonna get you. Julian Jackson gonna get him, he gonna get him, he gonna get you. Gerald McClellan, another great fighter. I mean, you can just go on and on and on with some of the more exciting fighters throughout that era. I mean, into the 2000s, you had great fighters of the previous to Errol Spence in the previous era. The reason why the Spence and Crawford era wasn't exciting and didn't override the Mayweather blueprint, because Mayweather and Pacquiao overshadowed it with his terrible pay-per-view, but also in general it overshadowed it because everybody wanted to marinate a fight. They watched them over marinate Pacquiao and Mayweather, and everybody just thought, let's over marinate these fights and just cash out instead of let's get these fights going and just keep cashing in. So shout out to Abdullah Mason and Jerron Ennis for spearheading the return of the action fighter, because they the ones who gonna save boxing. Shout out to Leather. Salute. He said one of my closest friends is over 20 years older than me. Shakur is just a bitch. Mr. T, salute. Shout out to UGC Flame. Hans Flax, Drizzy, salute. So I'm disappointed in Tank, man. Triple D is another one. Yeah, he is. I like Dan the boys. MMA is falling off hard. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they haven't done a great job of having legacy fighters. I think they'll figure it out though. It's hard to create stars today. And maybe they're not getting the passion from their fighters because they're not paying it. But Blaze, pound for pound, salute. It hit the like button. He said the last true era of the great boxing was when Ward retired. Once he retired, it started people wanting to have a circus. I don't know about that. I mean, I guess you can. It was that. What did Andre Ward retire? It's a great question. I need to see the year. Let me see the year. If he went out with a fucking bang, I'll give him that. So 2017, I would argue that it was already dead by then. No disrespect to him. I would say the last great era was pre-Spence. So we talking about pre-2012. Right around that era, that was the last great era for boxing. In my opinion, that was the last great era of boxing. So when did Spence turn pro? I think it was like 2012. Yeah, right around that era, from like 14 on back, 15 on back, right around there. That was the last great era for boxing. But Andre Ward was from that previous era. So I would agree. I kind of agree with what you were saying. He said this moist goofy really sat here and said Mason can't call someone 12 years older than him his brother. Or check Stevenson is banned straight up. Yeah, he said that. If you want to see that, that's what I let the show off with. Him responding to Greg Hackett tweet about brothers can still fight and be friends. And he said that Shakur responded on Twitter saying, or X saying, that you can't be brothers if y'all 12 years older. I think they're 11 years older than each other. I think I'm right about that. He said boxing wants to surpass MMA, make all the big fights. I mean, shit, it really neck for neck right now. Boxing might be a little bit more popular than MMA. I don't know what they was thinking about having old boy say what he said at the White House about Michelle Obama. That was some goofy ass shit. But it is what it is. That's why I ain't giving no attention. But yeah, let's get into the main topic, man. Last 24 minutes, I'm anticipating. So Derrick James, popped his shit. I think he responded to Jermell Charlo too. Hold on, let's start off there. If he responded to Charlo. Okay, I don't. Okay, he responded to Charlo. I'm gonna start off with Charlo. So we're gonna start off with him responding to Charlo. I haven't watched this yet. I haven't seen what he said, but we just gonna start off with him chopping it up with Charlo. I haven't seen this clip yet, but let's go.
How much training camp do you think I had with Derrick James? But then whenever he come, he with this big ego and everybody gotta listen to him because he the main coach. No, nigga, don't work like that. You better shut the fuck up. I've been training my ass off with this dude that came from New York. He sleep in my house.
All right, I don't know why. Every time when I do this, it just go choppy. I don't know why it does that, but let's see if we get it better.
Hey, we wake up, eat breakfast, and cook and train, and then when you come to town,
I don't know why it's choppy like that. So let me see. I don't know why it's choppy. So let's take the play quality down. I don't know why.
Or even check on to see how I'm training. What's messed up about it? I went through that during that Canelo time, bro. You didn't even check in, nothing. You don't even know what's going on. Hardly even see you during the fight week.
That was Jermell Charlo. Give me your response. That was a lot. Give me your response.
Well, this is what I'm going to start out with saying that I'm 54 years old. I'm not staying in the house with you and your woman. As a man, I should never be staying in the house with you, your woman, and your kids. And that's why I stopped staying. When he got into a relationship, because years before I would stay with him, right? But when he got a woman, a kid living in the house, I'm not staying in the house with them. So I started paying for my own hotel. That's what you have to understand. I pay for my own hotel. I fly myself in town. I have my own per diem. So for a training camp like that, I probably spend about $25,000 to $30,000 out of my own pocket. Because you gotta think about this. For that camp, I was in Houston for 7 weeks.
So, this is why it's always important to get different perspectives. When it come to this, and I agree. If you're a woman or if you're a man, you never let the opposite sex stay in your house. So if you're a woman, you never let another woman move into your house and you with your boyfriend. If you're a man, you never let another man move into your house with your woman. And then you're opening the floodgates for infidelity. That's a fact. You're opening the floodgates for that. So you can have all the trust in the world, but you really don't know people. You know what I'm saying? So he's right. I'm not putting myself in position to be around your woman. What if she get mad at you and then you know how women are and then want to fuck you, and then or a lot of these women got sisters and homegirls who get jealous. They really jealous or they fall out, and then you put your man in a position And now the bitch could lie on your man and say your man did something or he did this, and now everybody mad and they broke your family up. So in general, he's right. I don't even feel comfortable being in that position. You know what I'm saying? I don't even feel comfortable your girl coming out the shower. Your girl, doing this. Y'all know how women are. If you move into another dude crib with your woman, bro, I mean, most times your women look up to dudes in the hierarchy of things. If he taller than you, if he training you and he teaching you something, your bitch might look up to Derrick like, shit, I might get Derrick. That's just how bitches think. So Jermell ain't looking at it from that standpoint of view. But I get what Derrick saying. When you get older, you end up learning to not put yourself in those and compromising situations. You know what I mean? So I honestly think you just don't put yourself in those compromising situations. And that's why you always got to get both sides of the story, right? But let's move on.
Time, then, obviously,
Jermell don't know no better, dog.
During this time, then, obviously, he's dealing with this injury. And you got Bud Crawford.
Let me see. Every time it's gonna go back to auto. So
biggest fight of your life.
Right.
What were you feeling at this time? Were you like, oh my goodness? What was your feelings then?
Well, I think that when you talk about it, he didn't want to pull out the fight. He had something within the contract that said they could move the fight back 3 months, but he didn't want to do that. So, and even when you heard him say that this was a big opportunity, whatever he said about he couldn't pass it up or whatever, which he could have moved the fight three months further back to probably get a little feel better, but that didn't happen. So nothing I can say about it.
And so in the interview, he talked about taking a cortisone shot. That's what that was about then.
Right. That's why I influenced him. Like you have to take a shot. You gotta do something, because if you're not gonna pull out, if you're not gonna, he didn't spar. Even the last couple of weeks when I was like, hey, listen, you can just move around. They won't throw body shots. And that's what the cortisone shot was about. So listen, we got to get a shot or something to kind of deaden the pain or whatever.
All of this is really interesting because I'm listening to you. I didn't know that did his father always play that big of a part?
No, not really. But this particular time, he did, because it was like they knew something that I didn't know. Right, because initially I didn't know he was injured. But then when I found out, I told him, you should call your people, call your management, let your people know.
So, and this is why it's very important to get at least both sides of the story. We know it's 3-side story: his side, her side, or his side, her side, her side, and then the truth. So he didn't even know he was injured. So, the first thing when I heard that last part is, how did he injure himself? See, you got to listen to what people say. Because if he didn't know he was injured, guess what? Derrick got a trained eye. Derrick gonna know if they sparring and Errol injure himself, he gonna be like, oh yeah, I seen you take that shot. He got an eye. So how did Errol injure himself? Riddle me that, Batman. How did Errol injure himself? How did Errol Spence injure himself? That's the $1 million question. How did Errol Spence injure himself? Did he injure himself? Were they independently working out? Were they independently working out? Was he lifting weights? No, was he going around lifting weights? And then he injured himself? Was they strength and conditioning? Did he fall at home? Did he get into a fight in the streets? How did Errol Spence injure himself? You tell me. Because he said, I didn't know he injured himself. He said, I initially didn't know. I asked him. So the dad didn't play a part until he knew his son injured himself. So you got to ask yourself, okay, if he injured himself, we legally can push the fight back 3 months. We probably can push it back further because we gave Bud this opportunity. We gave him this opportunity. So why not push this fight? I'm pretty sure Bud let us push it back a little bit. We'll let Bud go take another fight, or, you know, Bud, you want to wait, and we'll be back and ready. Why didn't he want to take the cortisol shot? I can give you an answer for that. You got to get it approved, and then Terrence know you got an injury. But then industry talks. People talk. So somebody probably told Earl he was really hurt. Somebody probably told Terrence he was hurt to the body. He was hurting the ribs. And eventually, Terrence probably was going to hit them ribs in the fight and figure that out anyway. So why not take the cortisol shot? Now, maybe it was a fear of, maybe Bud would be like, no, you can't take that shot. Remember, Mayweather told Pacquiao he couldn't take that shot. But I'm pretty sure cash could have been exchanged for him to take that shot. And I'm pretty sure Bud probably, I can't speak for him, Bud probably would have took him that shot. So when I first initially just heard this in its entirety, my number one question is, how did the injury occur to you? Now, like I said, he could have fell out of bed. He could have been doing pull-ups. He could have been independently working out, because remember, he said, when I got there, let me go over this again.
During this time, then, obviously, he's dealing with this injury, and you got Bud Crawford, the biggest fight of your life.
Right.
What were you feeling at this time? Were you like, oh my goodness? What was your feelings then?
Well, I think that, when you talk about it, he didn't want to pull out the fight. He had something within the contract that said they could move the fight back 3 months, but he didn't want to do that. So, even when you heard him say that this was a big opportunity, whatever he said about, he couldn't pass it up or whatever.
So he basically said he couldn't pass up this money. Now, pushing it back 3 months, maybe, Earl knew something that we didn't know. Maybe he pushed it back. Al Heyman was going to scrap the fight. Bud was going to walk away. Maybe he knew something that we didn't know. Now, let me preface this and say this. Derrick James is defending his name, by the way. Derrick James is defending his name, defending his business, defending his training name. So he has the right to defend himself. And the way Errol Spence preferenced that interview, I'm just saying the way it seemed like he was blaming Derrick. Now, am I wrong about that? Let me know in the chat. Derrick has a right to defend himself.
Which he could have moved the fight three months further back to probably get a little, feel better. But that didn't happen. So, nothing I can say about it.
And so in the interview, he talked about taking a cortisone shot. That's what that was about then.
Right. That's why I influenced him. Like, you have to take a shot. You gotta do something, because if you're not gonna pull out, if you're not gonna, he didn't spar. Even the last couple of weeks when I was like, hey, listen, you can just move around. They won't throw body shots. And that's what the cortisone shot was about. So listen, you got to get a shot or something to kind of deaden the pain or whatever.
All of this is really interesting because I'm listening to you. I didn't know that did his father always play that big of a part?
No, not really. But this particular time, he did. Because, it was like they knew something that I didn't know, right? Because initially I didn't know he was injured.
So he didn't know he was injured. So it had to happen. It had to happen while he wasn't in the gym. It had to happen. Not saying that it didn't happen in the gym, but they made it seem like, if it happened in sparring, if it happened in sparring, right, where he got injured in sparring, you know, they would have been like, well, yeah, he got injured in sparring. He got injured in sparring. So that's why we stopped sparring. So it don't even seem like he ever sparred in this camp, and I could be wrong. So where did the injury occur at? That's what I want to know. When did he didn't even know. So maybe they were starting camp without Derrick. And Derrick, you know, they did a pre-camp and he got injured doing something. But then you also ask yourself, okay, if he had his rib injury, what happened in the pre-fight exams? Who was the doctor that cleared him in the pre-fight exams then? This is a rib injury, right? Who was the doctor in the pre-fight exam? Wasn't it the rumor that, you know, allegedly his bitch ran him over with a car? Wasn't that a rumor? I could be wrong. Wasn't that a rumor that the bitch ran him over? The bitch? No, wasn't it a rumor that she ran him over or something? Maybe I'm tripping. I'm thinking about a movie.
Then when I found out, you know, I told him you should call your people, call your management, let your people know.
He said, call your people, let your people know. You know? So what did he do wrong? Apparently when the injury happened, he wasn't nowhere around. The way Errol Spence preferenced that interview, it seemed like he blamed Derrick, bro. It seemed like it's all Jermaine's fault. It's all Derrick's fault. Yo, what's up, CJ? Them people on Twitter funny as hell, hating on Mason, talking Keyshawn gonna dog walk him. Man, they two divisions apart. They two divisions apart. Mason damn near knock Keyshawn Davis' ass out right now. Come on, talk about they Mason this, that. I'm telling you, no matter if you're a respectable young man or you ignorant, they always gonna hate on you, bro. When Keyshawn fought at home, it didn't look nothing like when Mason fought at home. It ain't look nothing like when Mason fought at home. Keyshawn, I bet Abdullah Mason, they should put Abdullah Mason in there with Nair Albright next. I won't see that. He definitely cleared the air. Did Earl lie? I mean, lie. I mean, the only thing I'm thinking about, he lied. If he lied about having an injury, I mean, so be it. But I want to know how he got injured. If Earl lied, that means the loss of Bud really gave him PST. I don't think he lied. He probably was injured. My thing is, how did you get injured? That's the $1 million question. How did he get injured? Nobody answered that because he said he didn't know. Derrick said he didn't know. Derrick said he did not know he was injured. Derrick said he did not know he was injured. So that leads me to believe a couple things. Either he was injured and they pre-camped, he got injured in a pre-camp, or he got injured outside of boxing, outside the gym at all. I'm willing to believe something happened outside the ring. He got injured because why not tell your people? Or he lied about the injury altogether. But remember this. They spent years. They spent years tearing this man's name down. Don't forget it. They spent years tearing this man's name down. Don't forget it. They spent years tearing this man's name down. Don't forget it. So they tore Terrence Crawford's name down. Let me say this. They tore Terrence Crawford's name down for years leading up to this fight, which hurt his legacy, which hurt the market value of the fight. They ripped this fight. They never promoted this and put this fight on a pedestal so it can sell. It was similar to what Ryan Garcia did to the Devin Haney fight. They basically said, if I'm not gonna win, I'm just gonna rip the promotion up and ain't nobody gonna win. This is a loser mentality. I don't think Derrick was with that buster ass shit they on. And don't forget, there was a lot of self-inflicted wounds from Errol Spence outside of the gym, which we not gonna rehash. This really is an indictment on Errol character as a man, bro. But you was already seeing I'm gonna break him like Kunta. All that, I'm big, I'm man down. And then when Bud came, he changed his name to a fucking fish. He was the truth, man down. Then he turned himself into a fish. When Bud came around, his whole demeanor changed. Even when they met up at the fighting OKC with Maurice Hooker and old boy Salcedo, his whole energy changed. Any nigga, and then he hopped on the radio and he started talking. He was on there with Negro Fifing. He sounded like a bitch, and I told the truth about him sounding like a bitch on the phone. He ducked Crawford on the phone after that happened, and then I was the bad guy because I said that nigga. I told the truth about what happened. Somebody called me with the play, and they told us the truth, but we didn't need the truth. When he called into that show, and he started talking like a bitch about fighting Bud, I was wrong. Just to call a spade, like that's crazy, bro. Niggas got mad because I kept it a bean. And look, the character was before the fight. The character was there after the fight. It's the same shit. Tear the man down before the fight. Don't acknowledge him as a champion. Oh, he don't sell. He broke. He ain't got no money. He on the wrong side of the street. He get his ass whooped. You think that was act right? Absolutely not. He's still acting like the same pansy, the same fool, the same slow, sore loser. He was gonna lose regardless. And a lot of people should do a class action lawsuit and sue that whole ass nigga. So basically, if you went in there and people spent their money to come see you fight, people bet their money, and you basically took a fucking dive. And please believe me, I know plenty of people in that camp, and ain't nobody say that nigga was injured. Let me say that again. I know plenty of people in that camp, and you ain't hear nobody say he was injured.
Who then made the decision? Because as he says in the interview, I didn't spar for 6. So, like, let's say if the ribs got better, who made the decision? Said no sparring.
Well, his father did. His father said he's not sparring. They're gonna save it till the fight. His father is the one who said no sparring, and he was complaining about the way the other guys were sparring. So so that's who it was.
And he came to you and said that.
Yeah, he said he didn't like the way he said no, he's not sparring.
So he said he didn't like the way the other guys were sparring. So I don't know who was fighting at the time. I'm pretty sure Jamel had a fight. Maybe AJ had a fight or Ryan. I don't know the time frame. He said he didn't like the way the other guys were sparring. I mean, my thing is this. His daddy hired Derrick at an amateur tournament when Derrick was saying Errol needs to do something different. So you get to the biggest fight of your career and you don't spar? This shit sound like sabotage, bro. This sound like some bullshit. I ain't gonna lie to you. The more I listen to this, dog, this sound like some bullshit. This sound like some bullshit. Yeah, class action lawsuit. Didn't you spend your pay-per-view money? If didn't you bet your money? If you had a fixed outcome and he wasn't gonna try, he was injured. You spent your hard-earned money on a predetermined fight. You bet on Errol Spence to win, and they took your money knowing this nigga, he wasn't going to, he took it. That's basically like taking a dive, bro. What are you talking about? You can form a lawsuit for that. I'm not saying it's going to stick.
No, it's not going to spawn. Even the funny thing about it was even, you try to project when or what. So the week of, like, we were in Vegas, and I said, well, we can spar a little bit, but spar with one of your buddies who won't shoot body shots if you have injury. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not sparring. No.
So the concern might have been maybe he sparred with somebody and they hit him to the body and they couldn't control him. So Derrick said, you know what? Let's spar with your buddies. Somebody that's not going to hurt you. So no sparring. You got to ask yourself, was he even injured, bro? Was he really injured? Where's the medical proof that he injured his ribs at? Was he injured? Or was he told to... I don't know, bro. This just don't sound right to me, bro.
He wouldn't even do it then. So it's like, hey, it is what it is.
Wow.
And this is what I'm saying. It takes nothing away from what Terrence Crawford did. So
absolutely, it takes away what Terrence Crawford did. Smeared a nigga name before the fight, smeared after the fight. And the great thing was Terrence Crawford did was go fight Canelo Alvarez. Sometimes you make great decisions. Bill Haney putting that in his ear was a gift from God. Bill Haney putting that play in his ear was a gift from God. God! Bill Haney put him in their ear was a gift for God. Because what he did to Canelo Alvarez, it don't matter what version of Errol Spence showed up. It was going to be bud to ass. That was God sent Bill Haney to put that idea in Crawford's head.
It's all about something that's in-house. And nothing to do with Crawford, He fought the fight he was supposed to fight. Nothing to do with Crawford, He fought the fight it's all about something that's in-house. And nothing to do with Crawford, He fought the fight he was supposed to fight.
And that's interesting listening to you say that obviously then you say his father said, hey, no sparring here. Because in the interview, I remember Andre Ward was saying, that's wild. You mean to tell me you had no sparring partners? And whose job was that? And he said, Derrick James is the coach, right? So in the past, and was it your job to make sure that you secure sparring partners for him for all of his fights?
No, I never, any other fighters that I train will tell you, I never get their sparring. Because what do you understand? PBC has a roster of fighters. So they have a Rolodex thicker than mine, which I don't even have one. So they will pick particular sparring partners and I'll okay them, but I'm not getting them. I'm not looking for them. I'm not doing any of that. But Quinn, like the kid that sparred with him initially, he called me. He called us at the gym, and set it up between his buddy.
So I didn't get that part of the clip. But Quentin was also the guy that was sitting on the podcast. Remember that podcast they was doing? I forget the name of it. And the guy was talking about they was with Shakur Stevenson talking about Earl and Tim Tszyu. And the guy Quentin was saying that I knew Crawford was going to be Errol Spence ass way back when. I was telling people because I sparred with both of them. So at the end of the day, PBC handles the sparring, so basically they keep the money in the house. He just okays the sparring partners. I mean, the way like I said, Errol Spence credibility looked bad. And I don't blame Derrick James for coming in there, man, and defending his name, bro. Because that's his name on that's his name, bro. That's his name on his reputation is on the line. And Earl really went on that interview. And blamed Derrick James. And then he walked it back. Oh, no, I wasn't blaming Derrick James. I wouldn't take... Dog, I'm telling y'all, bro. What he did was some whole ass nigga shit. He took money off Derrick play. He took people out of Derrick clientele. And on top of that, he took away from what Bud Crawford did. But niggas ain't ready for that conversation, dog. He really exposed Errol Spence as a whole ass nigga, dog. And I hate to say that, bro. I hate to say that, dog. Like, Derrick is being more diplomatic about it than I would be. He a whole ass nigga, dog. Now, what I think is maybe they just threw the fight to take away Crawford credibility. Because think about this for a minute, man. I did a video version earlier to this. I ain't drop it. I'll drop it tomorrow. Think about this for a minute. If you really threw this fight, right, and you really had an injury, okay, I needed the bread, and we're going to go through with the fight. I need the bread, regardless if I can push it back 3 months. And if you ask Bud, I'm pretty sure Bud would have pushed it back further than that if need be, right? Because he gave me an opportunity. I would have pushed it back a little bit further if he needed to be, right? And once again, they still ain't preference how the injury happened. Nobody going to talk about that. Because I think it was a rumor that he got ran over by one of his bitches. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong off that. I feel like I remember hearing some shit about that, but I don't even know how he injured his rib, right? Nobody is saying it. It didn't happen in the gym while Derrick was there. Maybe they was pre-gaming or pre-training. Don't know. But If I got my ass whooped like that, I know I was hurt. Okay, I'm gonna take 6 months, 8 months to heal. I want to get back in the ring, get in rhythm, get a belt. You get a belt versus Magdramov, which was over a year later, and then we gonna rematch. I got to get that back. Then once I get it back, whether I win or my performance is more competitive, then I tell everybody I had a little injury I had to fight through. You see what happened when I'm not injured. Well, he never did that. He saw the ring for 3 years. What? Is it 4 years now? When did they fight? 2023. It's 3 years later, bro. Damn near 3 years to the day later, he fighting Tim Tszyu, which they put that shit on pay-per-view, which was Whack Arnold's, by the way. Just knowing the mentality of a competitor playing sports, and I play multiple sports. Knowing the mentality, I want to prove to you that it's at least more competitive than what it showed, and I was injured. He never tried to prove it was more competitive. So, I mean, it all alludes to bullshit, honestly. Whether they faked the injury, whether they threw the fight, whether he was injured outside the ring, why wouldn't you want to tell Al Haymon? I don't know, man. They ripped Crawford building up to this fight. They took pay-per-view money and pay-per-view buys away from this fight, and they ripped him after the fight. Errol don't have no carry, but I was wrong for calling him a whole ass nigga when he did this interview, bro. This really all this really did was vindicate me. And when I said what he said about the interview, this vindicated me, bro. I know niggas character like Errol Spence, bro. Man, I grew up with niggas just like this dude, bro. Niggas that do whole shit but try to act like they chill and all this shit, man. I think this might be a different one, a different clip right here. Here we go. Hold on. I'm telling y'all, man, if he lost to Hector, Julio, you wouldn't see none of this shit going on, man. Niggas be their own worst enemies, dog. Black people hate each other, bro. And let me say, that's not no shit that the white man conditioned fully into black people. If you go back to the history of Africa, they've been enslaving each other's tribes and selling them into the Arab in the Brad slave trade and the Sandman trade for years. Shit, slavery probably was, if you look hard enough, slavery was started in Africa. Probably they used to enslave each other. But you know what? I ain't here for a history lesson, nigga. This ain't History Channel. Let's go.
The part that really went viral in the interview was when Andre asked Errol about the Bud Crawford fight, and Errol's reply was, and I'm quoting him, "That camp was bullshit. That camp was trash." I've never had the opportunity to ask you about it, but I guess I'm doing it now. How would you describe the camp that you had training for Terrence Bud Crawford?
I won't say that. I won't say that it was. This is what I'll say, is that we weren't able to do everything that we do normally to prepare for a fight. The gym was busy at that time. I mean, like, yeah, this kid's running around, the Buddy Jordan kid running around in the gym. So it was like, it was a different space, but I know that the whole protocol changed right after that. I know no kids in the gym, no this or that, so it's like, if his perception of that, I had 2 other training camps going on at the same time.
So I really wasn't much. So I don't really care, but we're gonna read the comments and we're gonna get to the money shit. So give me a minute. Get to these comments. Let's not forget Mason stole the show that night and Keyshawn ran from De Los Santos. Facts. He saved the show. Derrick was with Ryan when he was cheating. Yeah, that's true. I remember that. You act like you lost something. Man, what you mean? You act like you lost something. Nigga, if you spend your money on a fight and the outcome is fixed, what are you talking about, bro? If you bet your money on the fight and you bet that Errol Spence gonna win and you lost your money in the fixed fight, ain't you entitled to getting your money back? Shut your bitch ass up. Spence lost some credibility. He has no credibility after this. None. I'm gonna break him like Toby and all this shit. The nigga was selling dreams to his fans, and if we knew this, I guarantee you nobody would have watched this shit. PBC Ratchet, I told you they do stuff. Shout out to Tom Biz. Salute. He says James did the right thing. Don't lay down like Mark Breland did. Speak up. And prayers out to Mark Breland. I heard he battling a health scare right now. So prayers up to Mark Breland. Shout out to Tax. Spence just like a lot of those bad character country ninjas. I ain't gonna just put that on there because I know a lot of some of my best friends I've encountered is from the country. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. So yeah, some of my closest homies, good dudes from the South. So I ain't gonna put that jacket on. I ain't gonna put that jacket on the South. So he said Al never wanted Spence to take the fight in the first place. Yup, and probably sabotaged it. Yeah, this was sabotage. Quentin Randall was the one guy that was the one they say hurt him. They say, they said that was the guy that hurt him in to the ribs. Is that the one that hurt him? That hurt him to the body, or was it just the guy that hurt him leading up to a? Was he a guy that just hurt him leading up to a particular fight? I need clarity on that. Is that the guy that actually hurt him to the? But I mean, because if he hurt him, that means he was sparring for the camp. That's my thing. If he hurt him, that means he was sparring for the camp. And they made it seem like he wasn't sparring. So yeah, we need Kershell. We need a little bit of clarity on that one, bro. You need to clarify when did he hurt him. But we gonna get into the good shit now. Hopefully he come back with an answer before we get the hell up out of here. Because if he hurt him, that means they did spar for this camp. He just got hurt. But my thing is, if he was sparring for this camp and Derrick wasn't there, why are you sparring and Derrick ain't there? And what I find more funny is that Derrick said that the daddy had never been this involved. Yeah, Al sabotaged this shit, man. Al sabotaged it. All of a sudden, the daddy taking over, and then they didn't want to pay Derrick the money that he was deserved. They tried to scapegoat Derrick James. Oh, Derrick in charge of the sparring. Derrick like, I ain't never picked the sparring partners. I approved them, but I never went out there and got the sparring partners. Told y'all, man, it's a nigga run campaign. Real talk, it's a nigga run campaign. It's a nigga run campaign. But let's go.
About getting, and obviously,
yeah,
you guys had a legal situation about getting paid,
right,
and what you were supposed to be doing there. And Andre Ward asked him about getting over on Derrick, and he said, and I'm quoting Errol Spence. Right. He said, "Cool, I came to your house. I brought you your check. So if I was trying to get over on you, why would I come to your house and bring you your money?" Is what he said.
Well, this is what I'll say about that. Is that I'll just show you this. This is from the court filings. If you read what it says, that's from the legal court filings. And then this is what I'll say that from another page of the official documents, said, and I'm quoting him, said that he was honest enough and thoughtful enough to admit that he robbed me. This is quoting him. And if you go back in the court documents, you'll see that exactly. He said that he was wronging me and he had to own up to his shit because that's what he did to me. So if you see that, I won't say what he admitted how much money he made to me on another date, but what I'll say is that, this everything right here is in the court filing, so I'm not saying anything that nobody can find out. And I don't even know why he wasn't challenged when he said that, or that they didn't go look it up. because they would find out. So you put out something that's not even true for no reason at all. Because I mean, you found this what is it said at the bottom? It's like from the filing, just from the court filing. So
yeah, so it looks like he only initially gave you 350,000, but had to give you well over 2 million, I guess, after the so wow, interesting stuff.
So I mean, there you have it. Gypped him on the bread, and I think a lot of that had to do with Al Heyman allegedly, and he had to come on here and defend himself. It was Al that gave him that little bit of money, bro, and he should have got his 2.5. Yeah, Derrick in the interview said he got hurt in sparring during the second week of camp. Okay, cool. In that very interview, he said he got hurt in sparring in the second week of camp. So he didn't see it. I mean, he seen it, but he didn't know. He didn't know. So ultimately, and this is the same guy that was going around, saying that I told people I sparred Bud, I sparred Errol Spence. He said, I told people that Bud was going to beat the shit out of Errol Spence. He said that. He said it. So, it is what it is. And shit happened in camp. He should have pushed it back. I don't know why he didn't push it back. But maybe that's why. And maybe that's why the daddy was so defensive about sparring now. That's why he was so defensive about sparring. Because he got hurt in sparring. He like, nah, we ain't doing no more sparring. But the way he made it seem like they never sparred. The Spence protectors made Derrick of course they did. When the real villain was Derrick. I mean, was Spence. That was the real villain. You got hurt in sparring, so what would have happened in the real fight? And now all of a sudden, Derrick got to sit here and take bullshit on his name. It's fucked up. But it is what it is. He said, and Derrick said they had something in the contract allowing the fight. Yeah, I already talked about that. He chose not to push it back. Why? Maybe he needed the money. I can't call it. Maybe he needed the bread. So ultimately, they tried to make it seem like, Derrick was the scapegoat. Then you had Jamel jump in there and say, oh, he ain't never did this. And they just, blaming him for their downfall. Because if it was just the injury, why not get back in there? That's what I don't understand. If it just was an injury, why not get back in the trenches? Why not? I'm healthy now. I want to get that back. Let me grab a belt. Let me get a tune-up. Or Mr. I don't do tune-up. Let me get that back. He never tried to get that back. Aerosexuals make everybody to blame but Errol. Spence wasn't hurt like that, man. He ain't to be trusted. I mean, I can agree with that. Because what type of rib injury you had that had you like that? Real talk, what type of rib injury you had that where you still can punch and you ain't took no cortisone shot? It couldn't have been that bad. So James fought that Charlo ran like a bitch with 12 rounds. Shit is crazy, bro. This shit is crazy, man. But I guarantee you, if that trainer was a Hector or non-black, bro, they wouldn't be blaming him like that. I guarantee you that shit. I guarantee you, if that trainer was a non-black, bro, they wouldn't be blaming him like that, bro. Guarantee you that shit. They wouldn't be blaming him like that. They wouldn't be blaming him like that. They wouldn't. I'm willing to bet it, bro. They would not. Hey, they would not be blaming Derrick, bro. They would not be blaming Derrick. But he said now they're expecting Ronnie Shields to fix Errol overnight. I mean, they might throw his ass under the bus too. Real talk. Come on. They might throw his ass under the bus too. So, no, it is what it is. He said Earl looks slow and robotic as ever. Watch how they got at Ronnie's show when Earl gets stopped. Yeah, they gonna blame him. They literally can't accept the fact that Bud beat that man and never will. I mean, shit. As much as you was injured that whole camp. Right? You was injured that whole camp, and then you turn around and you talked all that shit about Bud. And you go out there and you put on that type of performance. It's crazy. Knowing you was injured. Yeah, he wasn't no injured like that. I agree with that shit. He wasn't no injured like that. He just got his ass whooped. Shame, oh shame. Men make adjustments, males make excuses. Yeah. I don't even think it was no excuse to make, bro. I don't think it was no excuse to make. I don't think it was no excuse to make. So, no, it is what it is. Hold on. But hold on 1 second. Bet. That shit up out of here. But what else y'all got? He said BFT playing Earl broke his ribs. I mean, if you broke your ribs, can you still fight like that without a cortisone shot? I don't think he broke his rib. Ain't no way he's sparring and fighting with broken ribs. I don't think he broke his ribs. I ain't him. I'm starting to think ain't shit happened. Cause why you get up on that on Andre Ward platform and lie like that, knowing that Derrick is gonna come right behind him? That nigga got charbroiled. Salute. Yeah, he got charbroiled. And he about to get cooked again, man. Because if that was the case, my mentality used to be an athlete. My mentality is this, or just being a competitive individual. My mentality is to get it back. That's my mentality, to get it back. Is to get it back. Like, bro, let me get back, heal, give me a little fight, give me a belt, and then come back and get the rematch. That was my mentality. Nigga took a whole vacation, and I ain't mad at it. You know? That's my mentality, is to get it back in blood. You know? I mean, just my opinion. I ain't just sitting on my hands. I ain't just sitting on my hands waiting on magic to happen, but maybe that's, I don't know. I don't know. So, if I got any questions, I answer. Wouldn't broken ribs be required or surgery? Otherwise, you got to be heavy sedation and pain pill. I mean, I'll give you a better one. Wouldn't broken ribs? What about the doctor that cleared them to fight? What about the doctor that required that passed them? So they do say most people with broken ribs do not require surgery. A heal at home with conservative care, pain management, and breath exercises. Surgical stabilization for rib fractures is typically reserved for complex severe cases. So no, it says you don't necessarily need them. He took more than a vacation. He took a sabbatical. A cortisone shot every time he sparred while preparing for Bud, and then a cortisone shot the day of the fight. The thing about it is, you got to get. It didn't sound like he took the cortisone shot. It don't seem like he took the cortisone shot, bro. Because he said, I'm trying to tell him to go get a cortisone shot, but he didn't take the shot. That's what Derrick was saying. It don't sound like he even took the cortisone shot. Because they had a cortisone shot, then you got to prove that you injured. And if you prove that you injured and you got to get approved for the cortisone shot, the doctor probably going to call the fight off. So yeah, he ain't going to the doctor getting no cortisone shot that many times. Hell no. Hell no. Hold on. So how you go rest and heal if you got a spar and then you got to fight? No way. I mean, just hitting the bag and doing boxing shit, it is what it is. That's his fight. That's his fight. I told y'all, man, that nigga robbed the fans of a great fight. If this is true, he robbed the fans of a great fight. Any other questions I answer? He robbed the fans of a great fight. Charlo and Spence left for 3 years like they were androids. Their androids was coming. And then Charlo came back to my black brother Crawford, give me a chance, my black brother. I'm like, now you want to be brothers. Nigga, 3 years for some bullshit excuse. Exactly, bro. I wasn't even thinking about boxing. I was putting the tail in the back of my head to represent I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. I know Earl seen that shit was like, nigga, what? I know Earl seen that shit was like, what? I know Bud seen that was like, what? Took away from all, trying to take away all his credibility. Ain't nobody listening to that bullshit, dog. Ain't nobody listening to that bullshit. Cause if niggas believe that shit, sorry, buddy. If niggas believe that shit, people be like, why not you go get the rematch? Matter of fact, why don't you get the off-brand Bud boots and prove us that it was a fluke? Get the off-brand Bud. Get the off-brand Bud then. And win that fight, and then you can lure the real Bud out. Go get the off-brand bud, nigga. You know, but hey, man, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate the love and support. Let me know what you girls and guys, think in the comment section. But yeah, man, this was this was nasty work. This was nasty work. But appreciate y'all. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Stay black, don't do crack. Peace.
I come to Jay Prince gym, that's when I'm gonna spar Shakur. But man, nigga tried